welcome back to the Glass Mind podcast. This is episode number 3 with Andrew Naugher. Andrew is a founder, a CEO, currently a chapter president of 1 Million Cups in Dallas. And so I just want to welcome our guest to the podcast. I'm so excited to talk to him today. He's gracious enough to lend us his time. And so I'll kind of just jump right into it. Andrew, you want to go ahead and give yourself a little introduction? Tell us who you are, where you're from?
Sure. Andrew Naugher. I am founder and CEO of MediaX Partners. We're building out Recody, collaborative multimedia storytelling platform. I have been blessed to have a 30-year career in marketing and PR, getting to work with some great recognizable global brands, but as well as some really innovative startups. And I'm very glad to be a part of the startup community and getting to mentor and consult with a lot of founders, being able to share my expertise, but also learn new things from them and helping them along on their journey.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that the startup community is growing in the DFW area, and I'm so glad that it is, because for a long time I know that Silicon Valley was kind of the main place. San Francisco is where startups came and were incubated, and now it's kind of just, we're seeing these pockets of new tech startups grow in Dallas, Austin even more so, and even now Ohio and Michigan are growing their own startup communities. So I'm really excited about it. I think that the innovation that startups bring to their local cities and towns is only going to prove to be better for the community. So just before we kind of go into Recody itself, the startup you founded, I was curious about your education background. What did you end up going to school for, and kind of how have you used that to influence your life decisions as well as your decisions at Recody?
My college was a journalism major, and that was really I was hoping to follow in some kind of writing creative category for my career, and that worked itself out, getting to be involved in everything from direct marketing to corporate communications to advertising, public relations, media relations, that type of thing. It really had enjoyed my college experience because I had great advice early on to kind of throw myself into as many things as possible, learn as many different things, many different disciplines. So I was very involved in theater, writing for the paper, doing helping with campus activities, writing some of the campus talent show scripts for that, just being involved in some video and radio, things like that. So I was very fortunate to kind of come out with a lot of different experiences under my belt that really helped me going forward in my career. And then every step of the way in my career had great mentors, great bosses, and exposed to something new, especially in the world of data analytics, consumer insights, which really kind of helped hone my philosophy and how to approach marketing and public relations overall, and I still use that to this day.
Yeah, I think that the journalism degree is definitely very flexible in what it offers. Mm-hmm. Which honestly, when I went through college, I didn't really view that degree with that much. What's the word? Well, I just didn't see how I could apply that degree outside of the newsroom, right? Or, if you're a news anchor or a paper writer, right. That's kind of how I saw that degree going. But it obviously is very flexible. You can use it in, as you said, public relations or marketing. And so I'm glad I've learned that now.
Yeah, the greatest learning was really kind of critical thinking, structuring thoughts, being able to do a lot of research, putting a story together, also being able to edit kind of what's the right information when there's too much information, really being able to entice a reader and bring them along. And so that was my first real introduction into understanding the value and the power of storytelling, which is really the foundation of all good marketing and PR anyway.
Yeah, of course. When I was going up into high school, I had a English teacher, and I'm sure this is probably relatable to a lot of kids in high school now, and even college students, and honestly, anyone. I feel like all the teachers told us, you're going to use this later in life. You need to learn how to write. It's important that you learn how to write and write well. And for me, I didn't quite understand that. Like, well, I'm not going to be a writer. I'm not going to go, be a journalist or do these things. But I realized that writing really forces your brain to expand upon what it already knows, to stretch itself and really build a schema, or a source of structure for the reality that it's currently inhabiting in. And writing really makes it so that you can kind of put your thoughts down to paper and really figure out what is happening. And so I actually end up
exactly. Yeah. I was going to say that you kind of hit on it, that I think the writing is what ends up wiring your brain way more effectively in being able to do the proper construct of sentences and paragraphs and story flow, and knowing what's exciting, knowing what connects with people, especially on an emotional level. I think that's where the real power of storytelling is that you are making a true emotional connection with your reader. If you can get them tied in from the beginning, carrying them through to the end. And that's what we all do. In fact, I remember an executive with one of my all-time favorite clients who told me that, Andrew, if you can only remember one thing, remember that we all make decisions based on emotions. We just convince ourselves we've made a logical decision, and that really rang true through understanding about storytelling and the ability of crafting not only good story but good copy, whether it's advertising copy or a press release or any of those attributes. And of course, that's even more important now than ever. With all the digital marketing and having you have a small window, a short amount of space to capture somebody's attention. So you really need to be able to understand what it takes to get people's attention, but also come across as authentic enough to keep them involved, and then getting them to do what you want to through a call to action.
I couldn't agree more. Honestly, I think you hit it right on the nail. So kind of moving forward into kind of what you're involved with currently, why don't you give a brief introduction about Recody and how it's kind of shaping your current reality?
Yeah, Recody really is kind of the embodiment of what I've been able to learn throughout my career, but something that I truly enjoy is being able to participate in not only telling my story, but also being a part of a communal effort for other people to share this, the ability to collaborate and allow for people to add kind of my grandmother. Both of my grandmothers used to make beautiful quilts, and always remember how they thought through each one of the squares and how it would be put together, and then ultimately you can see kind of the final product, but each square was a part, and each stitch was a part of making that a very beautiful kind of piece of art. And everybody has stories to tell. Everybody's life is of value, and everybody has their own memories that are important to them. And so Recody was really meant to be able to facilitate this ability for everyone to get people together that were part of an experience or knew something about it, and contribute whatever element they had. If it was just a textual remembrance, or if it was one picture or a scan of something or a piece of audio or a piece of video, but everybody has something to contribute. And regardless of your age, regardless of where you're at, that there's some element that you have of these greater memories. And we just, I feel like it's important not only for our mental health to be able to collaborate and preserve our stories and our legacies, but I think it's greater for the overall good of society too.
Yeah, I think that, you look at old ancient civilizations and cultures and how they passed on the tribal history through oral storytelling. And with the creation of, the cuneiform tablets in Phoenicia with the Phoenicians, the storytelling impact was still there. And I think that even today, there are tribes that still utilize oral storytelling to kind of not only convey their oral history, but to entertain, to remind their culture of their values. So It's clearly been ingrained in our DNA for a very, very long time.
I totally agree. Yeah, and I think when people step back and realize that it's through those memories and experiences are where we create the emotional bonds that make our relationship strong anyway. And that's especially important when you're talking about being a brand, but especially for being a sports team. Or if you're an entertainer, that those bonds that help those fans stay with you through the good times and the bad times, if it's in the current season or off season, if you're touring, if you're not touring, if you've recorded something, if you haven't, but through all that, but it's those emotional bonds that keep us tied together and then also tie us together with a larger community of people that we may never meet, but if we do, we know that we have some commonality because we have a passion for this football team or this player or this singer or this band. I mean, you could just walk down the street, say like here in Dallas, in just regular clothes, and you might pass somebody by, but if they have a Cowboys jersey on, you're probably going to, give them a second look and maybe point to them and wink to them or something like that, because that's just the visual representation of something that you have a passion and a connection with. So sports, especially, really brings people together, and we felt that that was the best place to start with Rakoti, is that we could bring a lot of people together with a common passion and feel like that they can now become not only content creators, but kind of personal historians for the team and be able to share their memories back. And then the team can then collaborate and add in their content, their pictures, videos, whatever they have, their social media, their animated GIFs, whatever, memes, and build out these multimedia digital scrapbooks that now can kind of live on for as long as you want, and then be able to be shared as well. But more importantly, be able to be relived whenever you want. That's why we took this approach of really building out this kind of multimedia book experiences. That's how we're kind of wired anyway. We're used to that. But the ability of kind of sitting down and seeing things organized, seeing a story flow, kind of turning a page and seeing something new. I was very fortunate. My grandmother, Naugher, started doing photo albums for each one of her kids. So like my dad and then my uncles and my aunts, she did one for each one of their families. And it was always the thing when we went there, the first thing we wanted to do after we hugged them, and especially to see if she had made any new pound cake, then we would go and find the photo album to see what new thing was put in there. And then also to go see, our aunts and uncles, to see what our cousins had done, to see what new things were in there as well. So I have the one that she created here. It's very meaningful to me, and I pick it up and look through it, even though I've seen it numerous times over my lifetime. It's still fun to pick it up, but that's just how we are. We're emotional beings. We're all connected in very special ways, whether it's bloodlines, but even more by the experiences that we have. And we think there's a real power in that, and that needs to be fleshed out more. That kind of experience needs to be available for more people than I think what we're getting right now.
In our last conversation, off the record, we had talked about the power of nostalgia and how important and impactful that is, at least certainly now in the 2020s.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the resurgence of 90s nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned the Cowboys. I mean, we talk about they just played last Sunday, didn't do so great. And it made me think about how great they were in the 90s and how, we had 3 rings and it was just, it was a great time to be a Cowboys fan. I was really young, maybe 3, 4, 5 years old during that time, but there's a part of that time that I still sticks with me. And that might sound a little crazy, but I can remember, being at family events and being at barbecues and going to watching the games and running around. And so I didn't have the experience of watching the game with the family, but it was still a very communal, cultural events that I was a part of. And so looking back, I still really, I hold those moments and memories dear to me because I remember, how close and tight-knit the community felt. And so now, I'm almost 30 years old, and I see the power of nostalgia and what that's doing in today's culture, and how marketing companies and media companies are leveraging that. I think that Rakoti is in a prime place to do the same and leverage that nostalgia for these sports brands to really build the memories and build that.
That's exactly right. And that's a great point. And that's one thing we kind of discovered, not only taking our personal experiences, but in talking to teams and then doing our research, also talking to consumers. We tested our product with about 1,000 different consumers as well. And it was very interesting how sports came up as one of the number one things. Of course, it was youth sports with kids and whatever, but they were also very involved in either being season ticket holders or just going and tailgating, if it was college or even pro. But there was also this aspect of they just gathered with friends and family and brought food and would sit, and watch games. It was something that happened all the time. And I think that's what, was so important over the pandemic was, people felt like that was kind of taken away from them. And there was a real loss. They didn't kind of understand what it was, but there was something, the normalcy that was there wasn't anymore, but at least sports was there. They had at least that normalcy, but that was because of the real power of sports and people being able to be together. But you hit on a great point that we try to tell, teams that Rakoti is really facilitating all fans to feel like that their memories are just as valuable as the season ticket holder, the person who was at the game, because they're emotionally involved and invested in the team.
Yeah.
They do have, they'll think about watching it with family or watching it with friends or going to their favorite pub or sports bar and doing that with friends. So there's that community aspect and that idea that I'm as much of Cowboys history as the people who were there or the people who were part of the team. And that's what we're trying to do, is allow fans to be able to say, here's my memories, here's my perspective. I want to be able to share that with a team. And I think it's very valuable for a team to allow fans to kind of get behind the curtain, to be a part of that, to validate their existence, to let them know that you are important to us and you stayed with us through the ups and downs. And memories are also a very valuable, as I say, a treasure trove of data too, that if you really want to understand your fans, give them a platform where they can really talk about something that's important to themselves. Not mainly a lot of data is just around transactions, but these fans are not really customers. They're people who are heavily invested and involved in the team's success as well as the failures. They have to endure, go to work and hear the jokes, or if they travel and someone they hear where you're from, and then the first thing they do is go to your sports team, and how, if they're doing well or doing bad, that kind of thing. So it really is trying to open up this global community but bring them in and make them a part of something that can live on for years.
The community building aspect, I think, of Rakoti is really powerful and impactful, and it's something that the world sorely needs right now, especially with, as you mentioned earlier, how we just came through the pandemic, but even beyond that, with the tribalism between, regardless of whichever political side you find yourself on, the world just definitely feels more divided. And I hear that echoed quite a bit lately. So I'm super excited about your product. I think just the nature that we can, build communities again around shared common interests and passions, I think is going to be really important in kind of healing the world after the pandemic, but also with just the different political fractions we've had. I think remembering that your neighbor shares probably a lot of the same memories that you have and has lived and experienced a lot of things that you have will probably will help bridge those gaps and remind people, that we're all part of the same community. For instance, we're all Dallas Cowboys fans, right? Or, however that those cards lay out, but I think you get the point.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. In fact, it's interesting if you even Google pandemic and nostalgia, you'll see a lot of research that was done and how people, fell back into things that made them comfortable. They, I know Spotify did research about how right after the pandemic hit, how many the nostalgic playlists were made. And then you see people buying the comfort food, even of their childhood. They're going, and so a lot of mac and cheese that was purchased and, different things like that. And I think it's something that's probably going to have a longer term effect on our society. I know in the U.S. and I believe around the globe as well that people admit that they knew that they lost something, that things were taken away from them, the ability not to just be able to pick up and go do an experience like they were used to. So now they know when they can, they want to be able to do that, obviously the right way. They want to be safe and considerate of others, but they do want to get out and make experiences because they know how important that is. They know how important those relationships are. And that has just kind of borne itself out now that we all understand and value our relationships. And I think hopefully we're getting to a point where we're putting the divide aside. That's probably still going to be there for a while. But Rakoti really wants to play a part in reminding people about the great memories and experiences and why you care for that person, why that person's in your life, why you love that person, why they're important, whether they're blood or not, but they're part of you. And hopefully it can help facilitate and remind people that these great experiences and relationships you have are more valuable than anything.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think that we'll get there. It's obviously going to take time, like anything, but I think we're on the path to restoration.
I think so.
So you had mentioned to me earlier that Rakoti kind of was born out of it originally started as a healthcare application, or it was involved in healthcare in some way. You want to go ahead and dive into how it kind of morphed?
It was, we started looking at the potential of how this could play in healthcare for a couple of reasons. One, it's kind of our social impact cause for the company that, as we grow, we want to be able to kind of give back towards Alzheimer's, dementia research and brain health, just because we believe that's so important and it affects so many people, around the globe, not just here in the U.S. as well. And because it has so many ties to our history, to our culture, to our mental health, our personal health, that type of thing. And of course, that's where memories are stored. And we know that memories are so powerful. And so I think there's a lot still to be learned about memories and what that does for the brain, what it does for relationships. And, we just want to play some kind of small part in that, whether it's financial or, giving towards research, creating awareness, but leveraging the platform too. I'm excited to kind of see how this might be used in kind of therapy sessions if families and friends can come together and build out a multimedia scrapbook and then be able to have that shared with a patient
Mhm.
and possibly see, how effective that could be. So that's one thing we're really excited to look into, and hopefully we can see some use case for it in that realm. But it's very, very important to us.
I hope so, because I believe I read a study a couple months back that Alzheimer's and dementia is supposed to triple by 2050, which is a horribly terrifying statistic. And now, whether that means that just by nature of the population increasing, that rate of Alzheimer's and dementia increases with it, and so really the rate hasn't changed at all, but it's just because of nature, more people, you get a more subset population having more Alzheimer's dementia, right. Or whether or not that study was saying that it was an actual increase in the rate in the population, the percentage was growing. I don't remember, to be honest, but I think either way, it's not. We want to reduce that number no matter what, and try and help treat it as best as we can. And so I think that the storytelling aspect with Alzheimer's patients, dementia is really important. As working in neuroscience, one of the things we learn is that if you have a patient who's suffering from a stroke, who has memory loss, or has Alzheimer's and dementia, get them to talk, get them to answer questions that you ask them, and not spoon feeding them information, but getting them to try and really exercise their brain to produce and create is extremely important. Yeah. And so hopefully, and I think I could see some definite potential for Recody facilitating that experience, whereas you remind them of something that happened in their past, and it could trigger something in their brain to cause them to kind of go back, right? And hopefully much the same way music has affected the therapy of Alzheimer's patients and really brought forth a lot of impactful change, real impactful change. Well, it has the potential for that too.
Well, and that idea was really brought to my attention through my wife, who's a speech pathologist who works with a lot of stroke victims and early Alzheimer's and early onset dementia. And so that was the real kind of spark of inspiration around looking at that. Is like, oh gosh, maybe potentially this could be used to do something, because we do have this connection with my father. But our family deals with it every day. My wife sees it, and it's like you said, to be able to see someone kind of make those breakthroughs just by talking, by getting them to engage that way. There's definitely a lot of power in that, and hopefully we can be a part of the process in helping on that front.
So I guess, what inspired you to start Recody?
Well, I'm kind of a media person from when I was growing up. My parents were very influential in me becoming a reader. They bought what I call the original internet. They bought me the Encyclopedia Britannica, and I read that thing from beginning to end. And
a lot of volumes.
But I enjoyed every bit of it, and going back and rereading. And my mother was a big fan of film, and she got me really passionate about film and filmmaking. And I'd read a lot about, directors and screenwriters and that type of thing. So I always had a passion to kind of be involved in some kind of multimedia. And that's, again, kind of what led me to journalism, and then into my career. I've been able to be involved, from editing videos and writing copy now to, websites and working with apps and different things like that. So this is a lot of it is really leveraging my own passion for kind of multimedia and for storytelling. And then when we had the situation with my father, and also with my mom was a very well-loved teacher for many, many years, affected a lot of generations of kids. They even reached out as well with stories about her too. So it just really pointed out to me that there was a lack of platforms that allowed for true storytelling instead of just kind of whatever was happening in the moment, which is great, and it's been able to connect people and reconnect people, which again is really at the core of these emotional bonds that we have. But we were just wanting to create a different experience. It's not that there's anything wrong with those other experiences, and they're great platforms, and we want people to share their Rakoti content on those platforms, the teams as well. But it really was to more facilitate the more personal, intimate storytelling, being able to choose who collaborates with you, who really understands and respects a specific memory too. I think that's important, and just kind of laying it out there for the world. So kind of also giving a controlled environment and a safer environment for people to say, yeah, I may open this up and let whoever can remember to put something in, or I know these specific people and I want them to be able to be the collaborators. And then also, if you want to keep it private to a certain group, you can, or you can make it public and share it. You might have a great story to tell, something that could be very encouraging, like going through an entrepreneur journey, or you may be suffering with cancer, or there's just different types of stories that could be really inspiring, and you might want other people that you don't know to collaborate in there, but that it really is kind of up to the individuals. So we're just kind of looking at what we think is the next iteration of the web, of the social media experience.
You had mentioned that this was primarily this started as from a place of passion, and with
Right.
obviously in merging your passion and skill. And I heard a talk recently by the CEO of LinkedIn who talks about balancing passion and skill, and that if you weigh too much on skill, then you might find yourself at the top of your respective pyramid, but you're not going to be happy doing it. And if you just pursue your passion to its end without any skill behind it, you won't find any success.
Correct.
A great example of that is, you love football, right? And you love watching the games, you're super passionate about it, but it's not likely I am going to be playing in the NFL anytime soon. So that balance of marrying passion and skill together in a healthy way to arrive at success, or at least the proper journey to success, I think is really important.
Right.
And especially to a lot of young startup founders who are really passionate about a particular project, but they don't have the skill set behind them to either build the product, or they don't have the necessary industry knowledge to accomplish their goals, but they have a lot of passion and gung-ho-ness to kind of pursue it, which I'm not going to knock that at all. I think it's great to have that, and it's good. Passion can take you a long way. But to ask you, the current chapter president of 1 Million Cups, how much does someone need to have? What do you think is the right mix of passion and skill in I guess a young founder?
There definitely needs to be a balance. Passion can only take you so far. You do have to have the skill, but you also have to have the knowledge of what's going on in the marketplace. Is this even a viable idea?
Yeah.
It may sound good and you may feel good about it, but you really need to test it. You need to be willing to put it out there, and what you might start with an original idea, and it might change, but it still might get you to where you want to be. You just might take a different path. It might be a different type of product or experience, whatever. But if you kind of believe in that there's a problem to be solved in a certain industry, or whatever it may be, that's the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, you're only going to succeed if you're solving a problem on a scale that's going to make it worthwhile for you, and especially for investors. And I think we all have to be find what makes us happy and what success. If you want to be a unicorn, but you know what, a $5 or $10 million business, that can be life changing for a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, but you know, passion can only take you so far, but it's also very helpful to have passion as you're building a culture, a work culture, too. That you're going to find the people that are that can see your vision, that want to be a part, and then bring their skill set to the table too. Because you as a founder are only going to be able to do so much, and you need to realize that you're going to have to lean on other people to get this done. You're not going to be able to do it by yourself. And there's nothing wrong in saying, I don't know this. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. I'm very blessed that I have people that I'm surrounded by who are passionate about what we're doing and can see the big picture and even have some great ideas. And that's what keeps me going. But I try to be at least the North Star of this is why we're doing it. It's because at the core, it's about the power of memories and the power of being able to collaborate and to preserve and relive. And that's the filter that we bring everything through, because we're looking at other applications of Recody as well in different markets, and we're excited. But we know right now that we're focused on sports and entertainment and making that being as successful as possible in that business. So yeah, passion is important, but it has to be balanced with skill and reality as well.
Yeah, I have a kind of a mantra that I live by, is that passion is great, it gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. And I think that
that's exactly right.
Yeah. And so I think the discipline helps you not only utilize the skills that you currently bring to the table, but it helps you acquire new skills and also recognize where your skills are lacking. And you're not supposed to acquire those skills. You're supposed to lean on the people who have those skills, right, and can fill out the team.
Right.
So I had mentioned 1 million cups earlier. You want to go ahead and give just the viewership a brief rundown of what 1 million cups is and kind of its main goals?
Yeah, hold on one second. Sorry.
No
yeah, 1 million cups is actually a program that was started by the Kauffman Foundation for Entrepreneurship out of Kansas City. It's been around for several years, but the program has over 200 chapters nationwide, and they gather together at least one or two times a month. Some people are doing it every week. I know it's changed with the pandemic, but it's a platform to allow two startups to come and present. It's not a pitch. It's really being able to kind of tell their story so people can understand more about the founder, the journey that they've been through, where they're at now, and how the community can kind of help them into the next step. So they get 6 minutes to present, and then there's 14 minutes of Q&A for each of the presenters. And we've seen a lot of things. The chapter we had in Frisco, Texas, there's a lot of wonderful things that happened. The pandemic kind of hit us like it did everybody else. We stayed. We went virtual for a while. Now they're back doing kind of a hybrid in person as well. But we have seen, whether it's been, at one point we had 80 or 90 people showing up. But even if it's 80 or 90 people, or there have been 10 or 20, there's always seems to be something happen. There seems to be a connection that's made, or it's been inspiring. We've also tried really hard to be informative, to point people to resources, whether it's grants or other means of funding, whether it's the traditional VC or angel funding, but also to get them to understand other programs that are available that can help. With that, we try to bring, at least at the Frisco chapter, we brought in people from the city of Frisco to talk about things that were going on, programs that were going on, so they can get involved in, and people could see 1 million cups as just another cog in kind of the startup wheel in the North Texas area, because there's a lot of exciting things going on. Whether it's Frisco or Denton or Prosper or Salina and McKinney, Plano, Carrollton, Addison. There's so much that's kind of happening north of 635, and we just wanted to be one of those key players in bringing attention to what's going on. And we've also strived very hard. We're very proud of the diversity of the audience and the presenters that we have. And that also includes diversity as far as the types of startups. They're not all tech startups. We've had a lot of really interesting companies from consumer side as well. There's some that come that have tech as a solution, but they're not really a tech company, as you would think of, like software or hardware. But we've had a really fascinating thing. We've had people come back to give us an update. So we've seen some successes. We've seen partnerships. We have seen people get investments. But that comes from just being able to put people on a platform where they can be noticed and they can tell their story, and people can connect again with them on a very personal and emotional level. Because as you know, even with the with your concept and with your business, when you talk about it, you're trying to find the people that can catch your vision, that believe in what you're doing, and can connect with you at a very personal and emotional level to get involved, whether they're investing or being strategic partners or wanting, to be employees to work with you. So that's what 1 Million Cups does, and it does very well. And
I was really fortunate and blessed to be invited to participate with 1 Million Cups.
And hopefully now that
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say it, and I think now it's picking up momentum again. I think we're seeing a lot that are kind of able to get back. It's a little, they're doing some in person, and people really need that and that connection. But they're, so I think that's helping to kind of hopefully you'll see a lot of good things happening again.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we will. And I do apologize about that. I had a tech issue. I guess the signal got cut out, but I was really blessed to participate with 1 Million Cups. And I think that it definitely is something that's needed. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. It really embodies the idea that, you ask for advice, you're going to get money. You kind of ask for money, you'll get advice. And I think that is really, it does it really well, because it meets the founder where they're at in their journey. And I think whether it's got something for everyone, it made an impact in my life. I know it makes impacts in many others. And so it's well worthwhile experience. I couldn't recommend it enough.
Yeah, you did a wonderful job, and you really kind of epitomized what we're looking for is people that have these ideas, and regardless of what stage they're at, to be able to come in and share. That's the thing. It's we tell people it's a safe environment. We don't let people come attend and tear down folks. I know some people enjoy doing that, I guess, but we don't like that. We tell them this is active entrepreneurship, so we want people to listen and to be engaged, but then also think of how they can help. Offer something on the presentation. Talk to them about the business model. Talk to them about maybe consider going after this industry, and I might have a connection here. That kind of thing. So we want people, especially presenters, but also attendees, to leave with something that they didn't know before, but also leave knowing that they can take action, that they can help somebody in some way, whether they're doing it directly or indirectly, but that they have this knowledge now, and they've made this connection with this person, and they're now kind of committed to help them succeed, because it benefits all of us.
Yeah,
small business is still going to be the engine that drives this economy, and and entrepreneurship is definitely on its way up. So I think even more now than ever, we need programs like 1 Million Cups to help bring in, help these first time entrepreneurs making that transition and understanding what's involved and knowing that they have a support system that they can rely on as well.
Yeah. And so I guess with that, what as a, not just as a chapter president, but also as a founder yourself, what advice would you give to someone, say a marketing professional who wants to enter into the field of entrepreneurship? What are 3 things that you think that they need to know to kind of pursue that journey?
Well, they need to know their customer first and foremost, because nothing will help a company succeed or fail more than knowing exactly what their customer wants and being customer centric. But that also means that you need to be in a position of appreciating and embracing data as well. And data is not like a big stack of numbers and things like that, but data is this cumulative information, not only directly from your customers, but also what's going on the outside. What are the market conditions that could be affecting your business as well? I mean, customers can tell you some things, but there's also a sense of, there are these trends that might be coming that could be shaping this, that could change. And so we kind of need to be able to meld both. So, and then I think the third thing is understand it's a journey and you can't do it by yourself, that you're going to have to quickly understand your skill set and go find the additional help, whether it's an advisor or bringing someone on part-time, or if it's full-time, but you're going to need help. And entrepreneurship can be glorified as well, to the point where I think it's hurt a lot of people in their mental and physical health, that they think you hear the term keep grinding, do all this. Well, don't keep grinding. Set boundaries, get a good 8 hours of sleep, hydrate, eat regularly, have relationships, do things, strike a balance, walk away from your business, give yourself a break from that too, because your business is only going to be as successful as you are healthy. And that contributes to a lot, because you're also setting the precedent for your employees and your culture. Because if you're driving constantly, then everybody else thinks that they have to drive, and then you're just going to be running through employees all the time, and it won't be a good productive place to work. So just keep some balance. And so that those are the 3 things that I typically tell entrepreneurs. And if they're wanting to give at least a good shot at trying to be successful in their endeavors.
Yeah, I really would agree with those. I think that, especially the last one, I think the culture of, continuous grinding, there's some toxicity to it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not afraid of hard work. There's many weeks working on Glia that I worked 70, 80, 90, 100, 120 hours. And, I love those weeks. I was really passionate. My head was in the thick of it and really working hard on it. But at the same time, you got to rest, because if you don't take those rest days, those time with your family, friends, you're going to burn out. It's not sustainable long-term. And if you want to build a business sustainably long-term, I think that is, like you said yourself, you got to protect your health. So,
exactly. Yeah. And whether it's a creative position or not, you're going to be creatively problem solving. And so the only way you can do that is if you're of sound mind and body, and you have to stay healthy and fit to do that as well. And your employees, the people around you, need to be the same way as well.
Yeah. So just, that was to kind of recap with you, Andrew, I think that this is a great conversation. I really enjoyed it with you. I'm so grateful for you coming on to talk with me and kind of give your wisdom to the watchers of the Glass Mind podcast. To kind of recap, the Rakoti is a memory digital scrapbook that aims to kind of capture the art of storytelling and memory building and allow everyday people, able to disseminate those memories with each other and build a community around that. Would you agree with that statement, or do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, it's collaborative multimedia storytelling at its core, and that's the foundation for the company.
Great. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. You could have definitely said it better yourself. That's why you did.
I hope so.
But well, again, thank you so much for that. And are there any things you want to shout out to yourself, or to kind of, where can they find you if people want to get in touch or learn more about Rakoti?
Yeah, I mean, people can find me on LinkedIn. They can visit Rakodi, RIKODI.com. If they want more information on 1 Million Cups, they can visit 1millioncups.com, and that's the number 1 millioncups.com. And they can also find the different chapters that might be close to them, but they can also see other chapters and maybe visit them virtually and kind of see what's going on in different parts of the country as well, which I do sometimes to kind of see what's happening and be introduced to other startups and other chapters, and kind of understanding what's happening. Because like you said at the beginning, there's a lot of communities are really rallying around and getting smarter and more efficient in building out their ecosystems for startups. And it's not just happening on the coast; it's happening a lot in the Midwest and the South as well, and in other states that you wouldn't think of. So it's a very exciting time for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And we'll put all those links for Rakoti and stuff like that in the bio, so that way people can find it very easily.
Great.
But yeah, to our viewers, I hope you enjoyed the content. Subscribe if you learned something, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Thanks, Andrew.
Appreciate it, Andrew. Take care.
Thank you.